Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our annual budget meeting. You will see that our chairman is not here today, he's indisposed. So I'm in charge of the meeting today, for better or for worse. First announcements first. We're not expecting. Not really, so everyone knows the drill. We're not expecting a fire. Is that any better? See, broadcasting is always talk. Be close to the mic. Oh, I'm coming to be fixed. Oh, whoa, whoa. Thank you. Doesn't know. Right. Can you hear me now? Fine, thank you. So you know where to go in the case of a fire drill or a fire emergency, far end of the car park. Oh, I've got to speak close to the mic now. Please ensure your phones are off or in silent mode. We'll begin with the first item, which is apologies. Mr. White, could you take us through the apologies?
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, members.
Thank you. I would quite appreciate having a vice chair just for the duration of the meeting to sit alongside me to help me keep order.
Can I give apologies for Councillor Dennis, who is going to be late?
Oh, right, thank you. That's noted. Thank you. So I would like to propose Councillor Long to come and sit alongside me as vice chair for the meeting. Do I have a seconder? Yeah. Mr. Long, please come forward. Councillor Long, please come forward. I'm assuming nobody else wanted to be nominated. So item number 1 on the agenda is the minutes of our previous meeting on the 18th of December. We have to approve these as a true and correct record. I presume you've all read them. Do we have a proposer, please?
Happy to move.
Leader, seconder, Councillor Hodgson. All in favour, please show.
Thank you, members. That's cleared approval for the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. Urgent business. There is no urgent business, but as a matter of importance, I will be making a statement on behalf of the council regarding the situation at Torcross and Slapton in my chairman's remarks. So we will come to that shortly. That was item 2. Item 3, exempt information. I don't think we have any need to divide the agenda today. So we'll move on to item 4, which is declarations of interest. Do any members have any interest they wish to declare for this meeting? Councillor Bonham.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'd like to declare an interest regarding item 7.9, the capital bids regarding the Kingsbridge pump track which is proposed, in that I live nearby, and I will excuse myself from the discussion and voting on that point. Perhaps it can be taken separately, if that would be okay for the chair.
Yes, I think we will take that separately, so you don't have to vote on that, but can vote on all the other matters. Are there any other matters of interest? No? Thank you very much. So now item 5, business brought forward by myself as chair. Obviously, members are aware of the significant damage caused to the A379 on the Slapton line and the damage to the properties at Tor Cross and to the coastal defences at B Sands. I wanted to take this opportunity on behalf of the council to convey our thoughts and good wishes to the residents and businesses, and assure them that we will do everything within our limited powers to support them. I know that the leader and senior leadership team met the chair of the parish council yesterday, and that our team are doing all they can to support the MP, the county council and government agencies to find solutions for the village and for the wider communities in the South Hams. And I'd particularly like to pay tribute to our MP, who has worked tirelessly to bring this matter to the attention of government and raised it with the Prime Minister in the House of Commons yesterday, and has started a petition asking for support. And I'd like to pay tribute to the work of our district council officers and those of the county council who have been working tirelessly over the last 10 days or so to shore up our defences and do what they can to clear up the mess that has been caused there, and to try to prevent further damage. I'd particularly like to thank our Deputy Chief Executive, Mr. Mulleney, for the work he's done in coordinating that. Thank you, Mr. Mulleney. And that, I'm sure, is something that we will come back to at future meetings as the situation progresses. Councillor Hodgson.
Thank you. If I could just add to that, if I may, I will be attending the South West Peninsula Transport Board meeting this afternoon, and I'm aware that this is one of the issues that will actually be on the agenda. I raised it the other day when we had the informal start to it, and I'm hoping that we might be able to see what may be possible to push that up the agenda through their work as well. They are, going to be disbanded because of the whole thing with Unitary, but nevertheless, they've got a big piece of work that they've been doing on behalf of this area in terms of important connectivity, and there will be a representative from the Department of Transport there this afternoon as well in Plymouth. So I will, echo some of what you said as well today. But yeah, I thought that was important to know. So there are conversations going on to see what a lot of us can do in different corners. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. That's very helpful, and it's good that members are kept up to date with the efforts that are being made. Thank you for that contribution. Move on to item 6, which is public question time. There are no public questions received, so we have no business on that item. And we move on to the item 7, the revenue and capital budget proposals. So the Deputy Leader, who is the lead member for Finance, is going to introduce this and update members on the information we received from Mrs. Buckle yesterday evening. Councillor Rake.
Thank you, Chair. So members will have before them the revenue and capital budget proposals for the coming financial year 26-27, and I would also refer you to the note circulated by Mrs. Buckle last night, updating members on the last-minute changes that weren't changes made by government to reflect the fact that they had miscalculated the treatment of the business rate pooling benefits. To summarise, the changes have been made, and that had a significant financial impact for us. But what was taken away with one hand was instantly given back with another, because they realised that the changes had come far too late in the budget setting process for it to be reasonable for them to make the cuts that would have resulted. So we got out of that one lightly. However, that hangs over us for the coming financial years, 27-28 and 28-29, where the compensation for the changes will be removed. Which brings us on to the financial settlement as a whole. It would be hard to think of a way you could structure a financial settlement that would have been worse for South Hams. I'm generally sort of sunny and optimistic, but it really feels with this financial settlement that the government specifically targeted us. And indeed, the net result is that we one of the councils that received the lowest and worst financial settlements in the country. For instance, the adjustments for rurality, coastal protection and flood management, and commuters and tourists have all been removed, and all of these are factors that have obviously a significant bearing on the South Hams. So with that in mind, and with the cost pressures that we were already trying to address, I'd like to start by extending my huge thanks to the finance team led by Mrs. Buckle, Mrs. Henstock, and others, the revenues and benefits team, for the excellent work they do in making sure that we collect that which we are owed, but do so in a rigorous but also caring and compassionate way, and to the wider senior leadership team and leadership teams as a whole, because addressing 2.5 million of cost pressures is a team effort, and it's something that we've managed to do. And therefore, the budget before you is a balanced budget as required by law, and has been prepared with the priority on protecting our core services, first and foremost, continuing to finance the council plan, and actually, by some wizardry from Mrs. Buckle on my right here, liberating £500,000 to create a reserve for housing initiatives, £327,000 to cover the strain on temporary accommodation, and £200,000 for economic development to replace the funds that we would otherwise have got from the UK Shared Prosperity Fund, which has been removed. So it's a balanced budget, and actually a budget that, as I say, has some additional funding in it for those areas. On the savings and underspend side, I'd highlight the fact that our pension fund, and this is something that will be important going forward as well, our pension fund is now fully funded, which means that the actuary has allowed us to reduce our pension contribution by £300,000, which is significant both for the future, because a fully funded pension plan means that we're no longer playing catch up, and in year, because obviously that's a substantial amount of money. The income from car parks has been higher than we budgeted this year, and we're proposing to roll that into the budget next year. And as ever, our Treasury Management team have done outstanding work, and despite the somewhat dull interest rate situation, have managed to produce above budget levels of Treasury Management income, and we have again rolled some of that into into the budget for the coming financial year. So that is a high-level overview, and I am happy to take questions, which I will probably pass immediately over to Mrs. Buckle. But I might attempt some of them myself.
Thank you, Councillor Rake. Do we have any questions? Oh, Councillor Hopwood.
Thank you, Chairman. On the recommendations on X1V, that is, it says that delegated authority to make any minor amendments to the budgeted figures. Can you please tell me what minor means? What is the parameter of minor?
In my opinion, it's whether it would be not a material change to the budget. So based on materiality. Given the settlement that was announced by Parliament, it does have a nil impact on our budget for next year, because the reduction in the revenue support grant has been compensated by an adjustment support grant. So it's just a new grant has come into place for next year. I think the government realised that it was so late in the day to withdraw further funding from us as a Shire District Council would not be palatable. It was too late for the government to make those changes. They recognise that. Nationally, they have put 115 million into an adjustment support grant, and the majority of that will be for Shire District Councils, because it was the government's error in how they have treated pooling gains that has meant they have changed the funding formula. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I shall pass that reply on to Councillor Dennis, who asked me the question. Oh, she's just walked in. So I will still pass the answer on to her. Thank you.
And thank you, Mrs. Buckle. So, so basically that means that as a result of yesterday's announcement by the government, this is unlikely to be needed. Yeah, so it's unlikely to be put into effect. Thank you. Somebody else had a question? Councillor Bonham. Councillor Bonham.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. A concern clearly in that the government seem to be cutting back our budgets.
Questions, please.
Pretty significantly. My question, well, I think I'm allowed 2 minutes, am I not, before I'm hauled up by the Speaker or the Chair?
But it's got to be a question, not a statement. Yeah, questions.
Okay. My question is, what if I see that in 2027-28 there's going to be even more pressure based on the government's response that you circulated late last night, and I'm wondering what, if anything, the council might be able to do to rectify this, and also to correct the incorrect calculation by the government around second homes council tax, which they don't seem to have understood. Will we be able to affect this, do you think, and what actions are we likely to be able to take?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Bonham. There are a number of what we believe to be incorrect calculations. The increase in the extrapolation of the big bump we got in second homes council tax into the expected growth figures for council tax, the what we believe to be a miscalculation in the extended producer responsibility payments, and so forth. We will continue to lobby for those discrepancies to be addressed, and it is felt, I think, that the government had enough egg on its face over the business rates pooling disaster, miscalculation, to not address that one and the second homes council tax miscalculation at the same time. So we will continue to lobby, and hopefully, although this is a 3-year financial settlement, we hope that they will make appropriate adjustments before our next budget. the other things that we can do to address the pressures coming forward. I mean, on one positive of this being a 3-year settlement is that it does give us time to do it to budget in a more, I won't say relaxed way, but in a more considered way, but we will do what we always do, which is to see where savings can be found, where reasonable and proportionate additional income can be generated, and so on.
Thank you, Councillor Rick. Are there any further questions? If not, then perhaps I'd like a proposal for the budget. Oh, sorry, there is one. Councillor Dennis.
Apologies, thank you, and apologies for being late as well. I was listening to the meeting online. It's just a question, really. I've made this. Uh, 500,000, 200,000 of that is uncommitted. Bearing in mind the last 5 weeks worth of rain and the damage to our various coastal assets, how much of that now will be spent, do we think, on, as you mentioned at the very beginning, making our assets at Sawcross safe and usable for residents? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, so in the capital bids, we do have 200,000, which is a bid that we are asking members to approve for coastal defence. That would be to carry out a survey of all of our coastal assets. We are looking at having to spend a small amount of money currently on the coast. Oh, I'll use a different microphone. Thank you. We're also looking at something called the Bellwyn scheme, which is an emergency government scheme whereby some expenditure may be eligible. So that is for unforeseen events. There are some criteria around that. It's a scheme we've used in the past. When we've had flooding in the past, we have used the Bellwyn scheme, and when there was foot and mouth as well. So it's a government scheme. There's a certain threshold. It's about £30,000 for us. If spend is above that, you can claim some of that back from the government. So we are looking to see whether we can claim some of that expenditure through the Bellwyn scheme, as we've done in
Thank you, Mrs. Buckle. Yes, Chief Exec.
Thank you. So if I could just add, assuming that the microphone that clearly what you have in front of you is a budget which we planned and we've been working on for some time. When from time to time issues occur, we respond to the issue and we work out how we deal with the finance afterwards, and that's exactly what we're doing this time. So where we've needed to, we've taken action, we've spent money up front, and we'll worry about it afterwards. Of course, that's why we have reserves, so that in those unfortunate circumstances where we need to, we can take action and then recover the money afterwards. So I just want to reassure you that the budget that is in front of you today is not impacting on the action on the ground also taking place today and which has taken place over the last week or so. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Are there any further questions? In which case, I'll call for a proposer for the recommendations. When we come to the vote, we will be taking this in separate votes on some of the issues, but we'll explain that when the time comes. But if I could have a proposal for the budget.
Happy to propose, Chair.
Councillor Rake, do I have a seconder?
Yes, Chairman, happy to second.
Seconded, thank you. So we can move into the debate. Before we move into the debate, just to remind members, I'm sure you're all well aware that you cannot now propose amendments. As it's a budget meeting, all amendments have to be fully funded and set out as part of the budget process. So the time for amendments has passed and we have not received any. So the vote will be on the proposals as set out, and we do have to pass a balanced budget by law. So so we're slightly constrained, but we will now move into the debate. Who would like to start? Councillor Hodgson.
Thank you. I was just going to say that happy to support this. I think it's important to keep raising our council tax each year as much as we can to try and make sure that we have adequate monies to carry out the public services. And I think it's just to point out, it's very regrettable that the government has seen to not deliver actual fair funding as we were hoping for. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to speak? Well, Councillor Bonham, you can now speak on the proposal, Councillor Bonham.
Yes, thank you, and appreciate that. Yeah, I just want to state my opinion that there's some very good elements in the budget, and I appreciate all the work that's put in by the officers. But at the same time, it is very disappointing that the government seemed to have reduced our funding from central government so much. We seem to have got the short straw in so many areas, as outlined by my colleagues already. And I do think this is, or seems to be, an attack on rural councils that is particularly unfair and uncalled for, and will put significant pressure on our local residents in a number of ways, not just in terms of the rise in council tax, but also business rates. And I have had a quick look at the survey, and looking up and down our high streets and so on, and wandering occasionally into our public houses and restaurants, it seems they are struggling quite significantly. So I'm wondering what impact the business rates changes are having on our local businesses. It seems to be very, very impactful there, what with the other changes as well that they're suffering from in terms of additional cost. So maybe some of the officers could comment on their view of that. But I also want to commend the budget for spending, I think, £200,000 on the economic growth programme, which I do hope will alleviate some of the issues and pressures on business to some extent. And I'll be keen to understand in due course the impact and the outcome of that spending. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bonham. Councillor Nix.
Thank you, Chairman. I, like Councillor Bonham, are concerned about how the government have reduced our funding locally, which has meant, obviously, our council tax to cover our costs and the essential work we do within the communities and the council has to go up in a lot of cases. I'm concerned that we still are in a cost of living crisis, and any upgrade in any grants, whether it be the precepts that our parish councils have set or us at district council level, is going to affect our communities.
Thank you. Councillor Yardley.
So mine's a question. How do we, there are a number of shire districts and there are a number of rural district councils. How do we combine our lobbying power to put a message to ministers, and how would we do that effectively, and who would we be working with? What's the methodology? I'd like to understand what that might be, please. Part of my summing up remarks when we second, but I'm happy to do so now. If you want me to do so. Well, I was going to. Well, you can do, but
that specific point.
On the specific point, please do not be under any illusion, councillors, that what we've received from the government is the surest indication that LGR is definitely going to happen that you could possibly receive. Because what this effectively says is that if you're a shire district, goodbye. Councillor Bonham's question about what we're going to do in 27-28 when you see that 2.6 million revenue gap, that's the plan. That's the plan. The plan is that we shouldn't exist come 28. And as a consequence of that process. So the answer to your question is we can do everything we can to work with the county and other counties. We can do that through the district council's network. We can do that through the county council's network. And in fact, that is happening all the time. Lobbying is constantly happening from, particularly through the district council's network. But you can knock on a door, Councillor Yardy, as many times as you like. If the person on the other side of it's not listening and don't want to open it, it doesn't matter how loud you knock.
Thank you, Leader. Councillor Brazil.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Just to say that I'll be supporting this budget, and I'd like to thank everyone and all the work that's gone into it, particularly Lisa and her team. But I just wanted to say a comment around council tax, and I think Councillor Nix Allison was absolutely right to highlight the fact that we're in a cost of living crisis, and it's incredibly unfair that central government, and it's not just this government, it's governments of all persuasions for very many years, have transferred the cost of vital services from central taxation to local taxation, i.e. council tax. Council tax is a regressive form of taxation. It does not take into account ability to pay, and therefore those who are the most vulnerable, those who suffer the most, who struggle most with the cost of living crisis, will be the most penalised, and that's why it's a pernicious kind of tax. But unfortunately, we do not have any choice. Government has made it absolutely clear that they expect vital services to be delivered by local taxation, and it's a sorry state of affairs. And it's not a particular party political issue. It's a national and across parties that we need to have a genuine national debate about how we expect to pay for these services. And I think that council tax is the wrong way to do it. And I will always argue that. But being a pragmatist as I am, I understand that we have to put up our council tax, as indeed we will be recommending to full council at county council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Brazil. Councillor Hopwood.
Thank you, Chairman. I think every year this council delivers a balanced budget, and I think that is a credit to officers and members. We work extremely hard in this council to make sure that we...
Just pause for a second while we fine Councillor McKay for his... Yeah. I think that's £10 in the charity fund.
Thank you. I'll start again. I think every year we deliver a balanced budget in this council, and we have for as long as I can remember. I think that's a credit to officers, especially, along with members. We really do work hard to continue to deliver our core services, and actually we deliver a lot of services that are nice to haves, but those nice to haves are slowly diminished over the years because we have to concentrate on core services. What really frightens me is what Councillor Thomas has said about next year is our gap will be over £2 million. And I do agree with him. That is the start of the demise of South Hams, without a shadow of a doubt. And that is what I believe this government is looking to. I read in Appendix F our letter to the government with regards to regards to how they've worked out or how they're going to give us or not give us the money we require. And I think the interesting part is the analysis that they give for 26-27. It shows that the urban councils will receive 41% more in government funded spending power per head than the most rural councils, who will pay up to on average 20% more than urban residents for their council tax. That's frightening. And people have to, this government has to remember that if it wants to help the people of this country, we need the farming, we need our farmers, we need we need agricultural, we need to grow as much food in this country as possible. That goes along with our carbon emissions and helps with climate change. And if they're continually taking money away from rural authorities, how can rural authorities then go one step further to help our agriculture? And we are surrounded by farms in this part of the country. It's really important that we look at how we're being treated, and I just don't know what's going to happen next year. This £2 million plus council tax, I can't remember the last time I saw, well, I don't think I've ever seen a budget gap. In fact, I haven't seen a budget gap as big as that, and I've been here for 27 years this year, and that's the biggest budget gap ever that we will have to close for a budget, which is really frightening. Having said all that, recommendation 1 on item 7 is the council tax increases by 2.99%. Yes, it may only be 11 pence a week, but all the onlys add up. Devon County Council, the police, the fire authority, some parish council precepts are going up really high because they can't, we're capped at £5 a head to put our council tax up, but parish councils have no cap. Having said that, they're having to deliver more services themselves because the county has stopped, for instance, weed clearing and things like that. So yes, they have to put their precepts up, but I still cannot support an increase in council tax. I think that our residents deserve, if anything, just 1 year of no council tax rise. So I would ask, Chairman, that when we take item 7, we take little 1 separately, please.
It will be taken separately.
Thank you.
Anyway. Yes, thank you. Anybody else wish to contribute before I come to the seconder, to give the seconder his chance to speak?
All right, thank you, Chairman. Councillor Hopwood, you refer to the council tax, and yeah, of course, we'll take the first one. You refer to having been here for 27 years. 24 of those years, I'm guessing you probably had to vote to put the council tax up every year because you were in the fiscally responsible position of being part of the administration. I mean, now you have the luxury, as we have had in the past, of being able to vote against or to abstain. That is your luxury. But as you know, we have to present a balanced budget. You also talked about the budget gap of 2.6 million next year. If we don't put council tax up this year, what will the budget gap be next year? I promise you it will not be 2.6 million, it will be more. So I appreciate the luxury of opposition, but I would be encouraging my group to vote for the budget. And I would be encouraging the Conservative group to vote for the budget as well. And if you can't vote for the council tax rise, perhaps you would consider abstaining, because I think the fact of the matter is sending a message that some of us think we shouldn't raise council tax is disingenuous, because it's not our fault. It is the government's fault. It is the government of any colour. As Councillor Brazil has said, the whole financial settlement is predicated on the understanding that we will raise, that the county will raise, that the Police and Crime Commissioner will raise for the full amount. And that is not a choice of any of those people. It's what we're told to do. I commend the finance team. Councillor Hopwood's also said we have a balanced budget every year, just as well, Mrs. Buckle, because you'd be out of a job otherwise, but well done. Well done nonetheless. For remaining in employment for another 12 months, and Mrs. Hemstock as well. So a sigh of relief all round, assuming it gets voted through, of course. Look, there are reasons to be cheerful in this. You know, we've got a second home council tax allocation, which we've been able to keep entirely for housing, partly for temporary accommodation and partly for an affordable housing fund. That is a reason to celebrate. There is money, as I forget which council it was, but somebody pointed out the fact we are putting 200,000 in. Yeah, that was you, Councillor Bonham. So there are some good news stories in there as well. The council plan, which the council was elected on 2 years ago, that has been recosted and reprioritised, and the executive have been through that process. I thank members of the executive for working with senior officers on that. So there's a lot to celebrate, but at the same time, we have to come back to the fact that, the point I made to Councillor Yardy, you know, we are in really difficult financial times, and that is quite a deliberate decision by the government. It is entirely deliberate. I was in the LGA at a training course last week, and I was with Labour leaders from Greater London boroughs who were rubbing their hands in sheer delight at the size of their increases that they are receiving in urban unitary authorities. And when I pointed out that some of us were feeling extremely hard done by, I was told categorically, You made hay in your Tory shires where the Tories were in charge and the sun shone. Now we in Labour urban areas, now we in Labour urban areas are doing well because the Labour government are looking after us. And what's more, they're going to get rid of you through LGR. And there was a genuine belief, which we know, some of you know to your cost is not the case. There was a genuine belief that all these shire counties were entirely rich Tory strongholds. And of course, we know that you can vote Conservative in Devon and still not be rich. You know, you have to go to Ilfracombe to know that, where the deprivation index is higher than that of Blackpool, for goodness sakes. But there is this assumption, this metropolitan assumption that the cities were hard done by and now are doing well. And we are suffering as a result. If we don't, if the government were to fall and LGR were to stop, we'd be in just as much trouble, I think, quite frankly, as if LGR goes ahead. Because at the moment, under the current funding review, we can't afford to exist after 2028. That's the harsh reality. Thank you, Finance team. Thank you, Councillor Rake. Please support the budget, members.
Thank you, Councillor Thomas. Councillor Rake, would you like to sum up?
Yes, thank you. So I think there's a real danger in this country that we're slipping into a habit of willing the ends but not willing the means. Everybody wants decent services. Everybody wants, good education, good healthcare. We need to pay for it. And we need to have, as Councillor Brazil said, we need to have a proper grown-up debate about what services we want and how we pay for them. Just willing the ends everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die. And if you don't, you have to do the work to get to the destination. And I think, I wish, in a way, that we had a free hand, like our parish and town councils do, and we could have a proper debate about whether or not to raise council tax, and actually have a proper debate about whether this year, Councillor Hopwood's suggestion that we don't is a valid one, because maybe in some years there should be. But at the moment, our hands on that are completely tied, and it's regrettable. It just means that we have no choice. It's as simple as that. And I fully recognise that households are under pressure. And to pick up Councillor Bonham's point about our hospitality businesses, which he supports with his own money, the pubs, and well done for that. It's worth noting that pubs will get a 15% discount rate on their business rates for the next year, as will music venues, and the government has also said there will be a 2-year freeze for the following 2 years. So there is some relief. We also have, that we passed at the last executive, a discretionary business rates relief scheme that is available to other businesses and charities and voluntary organisations and so on and so forth. So there is some succour for struggling businesses, but I absolutely agree. And there are other pressures. The pressures on labour costs and rents are also, I think, factored into it should be factored into the equation over which we obviously have no control. And I'll finish by saying that not only have we produced a balanced budget and therefore guaranteed Mrs. Buckle's employment for a further 12 months, but we still have resilience. I mean, some of the areas of savings, I admit, will be challenging to achieve, but we have identified clear pathways to achieving them. We still have financial resilience built into the system, and therefore I commend this budget to your consideration.
Thank you, Councillor Rake. We'll move to the votes in plural shortly. Just before we do, I'd like to ask our legal advisor, Mr. Fairbairn, just to reiterate the legal position on voting for the budget for members.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. All members, it is a recorded vote as a matter of law.
Thank you. And we will be taking the votes in parts. So we'll move first of all to proposal 1, if we can see that. and that is purely on the increase in council tax by 2.99% for the coming year. And we'll have a recorded vote on that. Mr. White.
Thank you, Chair. So members, for part one only of the budget recommendation, Councillor Abbott. 4. Councillor Allen. 4. Councillor Birch. 4. Councillor Bonham. 4. Councillor Brazil. 4. Councillor Carson.
4.
Councillor Cooper.
4.
Councillor Dennis.
4.
Councillor De Winter. 4. Councillor Eadie. 4. Councillor Hancock. 4. Councillor Hodgson.
4.
Councillor Hopwood. Councillor Jackson. Councillor Lawford. Councillor Long. Councillor McKay. Councillor Nix. Councillor Callaghan. Councillor Pannell. Councillor Penfold. Councillor Presswell. Councillor Rake. Councillor Steele. Councillor Thomas.
4.
And Councillor Yardy. Thank you, members. That is therefore 25 votes in favour with 1 against, and part 1 is therefore declared carried. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. White. We move on now to proposal 9 in Roman numerals, which for those who are not versed with will be, I imagine, 1X is the capital bids. Councillor Bonham has declared an interest in this, so we will take a separate vote on that. So again, I go back to Mr. White.
Thank you, Chair. So for part 9 only of the recommendation, Councillor Abbott.
4.
Councillor Allen.
4.
Councillor Birch. 4. Councillor Bonham. Councillor Brazil.
4.
Councillor Carson.
4.
Councillor Cooper.
4.
Councillor Dennis.
4.
Councillor De Winter. Councillor Eadie.
4.
Councillor Hancock. Councillor Hodgson. Councillor Hopwood. Councillor Jackson. Councillor Lawford. Councillor Long. Councillor McKay. Councillor Nix. Councillor Callaghan. Councillor Pannell. Councillor Penfold. Councillor Presswell. Councillor Rake. Councillor Steele. Councillor Thomas.
4.
Votes in favour with 3 abstentions, and part 9 is also therefore declared carried. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. White. We then will, I propose that we take the rest of the proposals on block unless anybody has any objection. So if we can just go back to the top, Mr. White. So that's items 2, which starts with the financial pressures, the savings and additional income as shown, the earmarked reserves, the amount being transferred to second homes. It'll be on to the discretionary exceptions to council tax, the total net expenditure of 15,957,267 and £267. The response to the local government settlement and the way we'll be dealing with that, not the capital bids. Moving on, the advisory committee recommendation about the refurbishment of Thomas Pool, and the same the business case on number 11 there. The unearmarked reserves, the level of reserves are set out in the report, and as we've heard, probably not relevant anymore, but 14, the delegated authority for minor adjustments, which will almost certainly not be needed as a result of yesterday's announcement by the government. So we will again have a recorded vote on those.
Thank you, Chair. So for the remaining 12 recommendations, members, Councillor Abbott.
4.
Councillor Allen.
4.
Councillor Birch.
4.
Councillor Bonham.
4.
Councillor Brazil.
4.
Councillor Carson.
Abstain.
Councillor Cooper.
4.
Councillor Dennis.
Abstain.
Councillor De Winter. Councillor Eadie.
4.
Councillor Hancock.
4.
Councillor Hodgson.
4.
Councillor Hopwood.
Abstain.
Councillor Jackson.
4.
Councillor Lawford.
4.
Councillor Long.
4.
Councillor McKay.
4.
Councillor Nix.
Abstain.
Councillor Callaghan? Councillor Pannell? Councillor Penfold? Councillor Presswell? Councillor Rake? Councillor Steele? Councillor Thomas?
4.
And Councillor Yardy? Thank you, members. That's therefore 21 votes in favour with 5 abstentions, and the remaining 12 recommendations are also declared carried. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. White. That concludes the budget part of the meeting. Thank you, everybody, for your participation and your assiduity in making sure we know what's going on. So we move on to item 8, the calendar of meetings. I think there's one amendment to make to this, Mr. White. Is that right?
There is, thank you, Chair. It's on the screen, and thank you to Councillor Long for flagging that in the drafting process. Thank you.
Yeah, I picked up the site visits as well. So yeah, with that amendment, are members happy to approve that? Do we have a? Yes, Councillor Thomas is going to introduce the report.
Well, it doesn't really need introducing. I mean, I suppose the most important thing to do is thank Mr. White and Mrs. Jasper for working on this and making sure that we, where at all possible, avoided half term and holidays, because I know that that causes issues for some members. It's unavoidable, I'm afraid, towards the start of the summer holidays, where there are a couple of meetings in late July. Councillor Brazil, you will be relieved to know that August has been kept sacrosanct as per your standing instructions. But otherwise, it is what it is. It's an important document and one I think you need to be aware of for diary commitments. So there we are. I'm happy to move, Chairman.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Happy to second, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Rake. Are there any questions, first of all? Does any member wish to speak on this, or be happy to take it to the vote? No hands are raised, so I think we'll take it to the vote. All those in favour, please show.
That's unanimous. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, members. Move on now to reports of bodies. Most of these are for noting. If they're not, I will inform you when we have to consider a recommendation. So, first of all is the Audit and Governance Committee of the 4th of December. Councillor Bonham.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. I'd like to move the minutes of the Audit and Governance meeting on 4th of December 2025 for noting.
Thank you, Councillor Bonham. Members so noted, yes. The Development Management Committees, Councillor Long, for the 11th of December.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to present the minutes of the Development Management Committee, 11th of December, for noting. Thank you, Chair.
So noted. Thank you. Licensing Committee, Councillor of the 8th of January, Councillor Penfold.
Sorry, I was thinking about something else. Sorry. Where have we got the date? Have we got the date up there?
8th of January.
I present this report to the Licensing Subcommittee or Committee for the 8th of January 2026. Thank you. Sorry.
So noted. Thank you. Budget Advisory Committee. Councillor Long, you chaired this.
Chairman, I'd like to present the minutes of the Budget Advisory Committee for the 22nd of January for noting. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So noted. Thank you. And finally, the Executive of the 29th of January minutes, and there are 2 outstanding recommendations, the Revenue Budget Monitoring and also the Safeguarding and DBS checks, which Councillor Thomas will present.
I don't need to, Chairman, because you've just done it for me. So, yeah, I mean, in fairness, at page 115 on your report pack, the recommendation around the Budget Advisory Committee is to do with Totnes Leisure Centre, which we've effectively passed in the budget we've just agreed. And then at 119 in your report, which we haven't agreed yet, which does need ratifying today, is the adoption of the updated safeguarding policy, the introduction of a voluntary DBS check for all elected members in accordance with best practice, that Councillor Dominic be nominated as lead member for safeguarding, and that ongoing safeguarding training for members be organised, and that for the purposes of the Member Learning and Development Plan, attendance at such training be deemed mandatory. And I would ask you to consider it mandatory, please, members, because safeguarding is one of the most important aspects of training that we can receive as councillors in undertaking our duties correctly. So I'd ask for your support, please, on that.
So we need, do we need a proposal and seconder for that, Mr White?
Yes, please,
Yeah,
Chair. So
so
in effect, the recommendations on the screen, and we'll go back to the revenue budget monitoring recommendation afterwards.
Yeah, okay, thanks. Yeah, okay. Well, I'll just get the proposal first. Right, yeah, I'll just get it proposed and seconded.
Happy to propose, Chair.
Okay, so questions then, Councillor Yard.
For example, I've got 2 DBS checks already. There's an expense associated with doing this. Do we really, if you're already DBS checked and I can provide a certificate, do I need to cause the council more expense?
Yeah, and I asked that question because as a primary school teacher and a county councillor, Councillor Yardy, I mean, I'm on the enhanced safeguarding list. I'm on the, I'm on the exactly. So I'm in the same position as you. I've already asked that question. Best practice is that, unfortunately, for reasons best known to the data barring service, they don't talk to each other. So unfortunately, despite the fact you would have thought a system like that would, it doesn't. So effectively, you need your MOT, as it were, in each area of which you are using it. Unhelpful, but that's where we are, I'm afraid.
Councillor Hodgson.
Yeah, I also asked this question to executive. Could some of us?
Councillor Penfold.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, it's my mistake. Councillor Penfold first.
Okay, so the question is involving best practice. So if this council believes, as the safeguarding policy states, that all children and young people should have the right to be safe and protected from harm and abuse, why are we not making it compulsory for all councillors to have DBS checks? I don't understand that. And by separating it to voluntary and voluntary, it means that there's an optics around what we're saying to the public about our councillors going out into the community. So I think there's going to be questions around those councillors if they don't have compulsory checks, DBS checks. So that's my question. Why are we making it voluntary?
And I'm sure Mr Fairbairn will want to come in, but the answer is because we can't make it compulsory. We don't have the power to do so, I believe, is the...
There's no effective sanction. You can't prevent a councillor from having been elected from doing their democratic elected role. You can stop somebody not doing planning training from being on the planning committee because that is a decision that the council can make as to whether or not they sit on the planning committee. The only other sanction would be a code of conduct complaint or breach. As monitoring officer, of course, it behoves me to say that upholding standards is important, but you know and I know that the sanction for breach is not significant. So that is why. So why make something mandatory? Effectively, peer power, peer pressure.
That's what I've done with asking for this to be mandatory in terms of the training. Is the peer pressure side of it. I would hope that all members will. Yeah.
The Chief Exec.
So thank you. Well, the leaders pretty much said what I was going to say. We will only know the effect of this once 31 members have made their own choices about what they're going to do. Given the nature of the policy, I'm very confident that all members will take up the opportunity to both have the DBS check and of course the council decide in the absence of that. I'm sure that we should deal with this in a positive way rather than worrying about what happens when people don't do what I'm confident that they will do.
Thank you. Councillor Hodgson.
Yeah, I was just going to respond to the thing about the cost associated with all of us going through this and whether or not those of us who have DBS and for other reasons could be, save the council money. Apparently, it's a job lot, so it's not actually going to make a lot of difference.
Thank you, Councillor Hodgson. Councillor Taylor, who's on the Teams call, would like to contribute. Councillor Taylor.
Thank you, Chairman. Actually, I'm going back one because I missed it, but just a point about the DM dates. I think it's Monday the 13th and not Monday the 12th. I know it's a silly one, but...
We have noted that. Thank you. Thank you, Bernard.
Okay, thanks.
Right, and Councillor Rake.
Just... because councillors on those councils are corporate parents, and therefore it is that gives the council the power to make it mandatory. But we are not. So,
thank you, Councillor Bonham.
Just a question, if I may, perhaps a legal advice. Could we not add and implementing, as I understand it?
Yep, thank you, Chairman. It still has the same outcome. At the end of the day, if you include it in your code of conduct, it is the sanction is a complaint and taking you through the standards process and potentially a censoring. But that is the effect. That is all. That is all that the council. It's so much better to proceed by way of peer pressure.
If I could come in as well, look, members, at the moment, let's just to draw a line under this. At the moment, if you don't do your IT training, Councillor Hopwood shouts at you. I think actually we should probably ask Councillor Hopwood to shout at you if you don't do your DBS training as well, frankly. And anyone who's brave enough not to do it, good luck.
I think, as has been said, I think the proof will be of the pudding will be in the eating. We'll see how many members do sign up for this. I hope all members will sign up for it. It sends a signal that we do take safeguarding seriously. And within a few months, we will know how many people have signed up, and perhaps we can ask for a report on that. Sorry? There will be a register of those who've signed up, so we'll be able to see how effective this has been. So we've had a proposal and seconder. Does anybody wish to? Oh, yes, Councillor Hodge. Is this? I'm just going to move to the debate. Do you wish to? No, is it another question still? That's fine.
So the question is, sorry, you're going to have just the chief exec's going to say there will be a register. Will this register be public?
I don't know. What do you think, legal team? I'm not sure that's entirely helpful in the first instance. I think we should proceed as I suggested, which is we should do this in a positive sense. There are 31 councillors on this council. I'm confident that all 31 of them will both go through the DBS checks and do the training, and at which point the question becomes a bit moot, doesn't it? So can I suggest we come back to it in due course rather than spend time debating what's not going to happen when I'm confident that it will happen? I said we'd keep a register. I didn't say we'd publish it.
Thank you, Ms. Bates. Yeah. Does any member wish to contribute to a debate on this? Are we happy to move to the vote? Yeah, I think we have.
Move to the vote, Chair.
In which case, we go to the vote. All those in favour of the recommendation, please show.
Thank you, Chair. That is unanimous for the recommendations. Thank you.
That concludes item 9.
Sorry, Chair, we've skipped over the revenue budget monitoring recommendation, which is on the screen now.
Right. Okay. The revenue budget monitoring. Okay. Do you want to say anything about this?
Minutes as it says. Thank you, Mr. White. 150 into the sustain.
Is everybody able to show of hands, please, to see if you're in favour of that? Thank you. That does now conclude item 9. Item 10, we have received no questions on notice, and item 11, we have received no motions on notice. So we move to my concluding remarks. I'm pleased to see Councillor Taylor has joined us online. We all wish you the very best, Bernard, and hope you're back with us soon. Remind members that our next full meeting is here on the 25th, Thursday, the 25th of March. Thank you for coming. And can I remind you that if you have we'll have a short comfort break, and there will be an informal briefing on local government reorganisation. Thank you.
We like to make your day, members. What, 20 past? Shall we go for 20?